Hello Reds, welcome along to All for United.
Hello and welcome to All for United with me, John Foster, MUFC. Got so much to talk about tonight, so many topics, so many names. We're going to get through them as quickly but also as precisely as we can. Natalie, how are you doing, matey?
I'm doing good, John. Looking forward to it tonight.
Yeah. We always have a little bit of a laugh before the show. Got so much to talk about. Emma, welcome back. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, nice to be back. Hope Natalie's feeling all right by the end of the show.
No, I'm good.
There's been so many comments on Twitter today. Everyone's buzzing for this. So, look, we've got over 75 people watching already. Thank you very much. It's always a cracking show when Emma's on. And we're going to base most of this show on Emma's article. But before we do, Natalie, one of the biggest things for me this week is the fact that we can now buy season tickets or renew season tickets as of tomorrow. Nat, obviously, we got that email. We've got it sorted. It took a little bit of time to get it sorted with the technical issues, but it's there now. I've seen at least 7 or 8 new people who've never even been to a game before who's bought a season ticket. Thank you. No one's even been at the ground for, it will be 18 months by the time it comes round, and they're still buying a season ticket. 39 quid, bargain, everyone's saying it. Natalie, let's start it off with that.
Yeah, and I just want to say, Barmy Army, it's not just me, it's other people. There's people behind the scenes, Deborah, Mark, Shane, Fiona, that they're doing a lot of work, and they've I think it's something that we've had before, we're having experience in with different systems with United. It's always a pain sometimes ticketing, but obviously a lot of those guys worked hard, got things done. Yesterday, new season ticket holders could buy, which is really good. And then hopefully over the next few days, there's going to be some more correspondence out from United. But if you've bought a season ticket before, so if you've been going since the start, 1920, 2021, you do a refund from the club, so don't buy it yet. Wait for the correspondence to come out and then buy it. But listen, if you've not bought one before, definitely go out there and buy it and become a member of the Barmy Army. That's what I say. That's all I say. We've got this far. Like you said, you've seen 10 people, 20 people, probably more buying new tickets, and that's through us doing that work and not pressuring, but just sort of letting the club know there's problems, getting it sorted. Things like that, and that's why I just say it's so important, be a part of your supporters club. We're working for basically so that new people can buy tickets, so that everyone gets in the ground and we get a good atmosphere together. But yeah, definitely, Barmy Army, MUWC, get on it, guys.
I think it's great as well, the fact that a lot of new fans have started to watch on TV because they haven't been able to go to games in the last 12 months at least, and they've still gone straight out to buy season tickets, so they've been hooked just by what they've seen on Twitter and just by what they've seen on the FA player or the odd BT sport game or whatever. So it's great to see that people actually putting the money where the mouth is, so to speak. So it's great to see. Thank you to everybody in the comments. Please keep your questions coming in or whatever. We've got loads to discuss. So, Emma, let's start off with yourself then. So, first of all, what are your expectations going into this transfer window? So my thought process was obviously like last year, it was like one of the best WSLs there's ever been. There's been like American players that's come over. We had Harder, which was like broke the record. Do you reckon there'll be anything similar this year, like in regards to world record fees, or you see maybe something slightly different with maybe loan deals, swap deals? How do you think that this transfer is going to start?
Yeah, it's a good question. I actually think this summer is going to be a lot different and probably the exact opposite of last season, where I think it actually might be quite quiet. I don't think we'll see too many big signings. And I think that's a mixture of COVID, but also, obviously, we've now got this new homegrown quota rule, which is now taking place. I think there's going to be more movement among kind of English talent as well. Maybe some more loan deals from the younger players. I think there's been a lot of focus on sort of championship clubs as well going full time. So I think, there's quite a lot of movement down there. So I think that will impact sort of the bottom teams perhaps in the WSL that might be picking up some players. So yeah, I think it's going to be really different. I don't think there's going to be too many clubs that are going to be massively active, personally.
Before we got into the homegrown rule, because I think it is exciting, me and Natalie were just discussing it before we went live. How excited are you, Emma, to actually have company at games again? Because like actually have fans in the stadium again, because obviously you've still been able to go, but obviously it's been a lot more quieter. How excited are you and your fellow colleagues to actually have an atmosphere in the ground again?
Yeah, I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait, because it just changes the whole way that you report on the game. It changes the way you see the game. You know, it's interesting because there's times when, you know, if you watch a game on TV, I don't know whether you guys are the same as me, but I analyse and sort of, I can't just watch a game of football. I'm like looking at the tactics and everything. Whereas when you go to a game with fans, you can sometimes get a little bit sucked into the kind of emotion of it. So I quite like that side, because that doesn't come as naturally to me. I think because I used to, you know, I'm a sports person kind of through birth, and I've always played, and so I always kind of see things as if I was playing it. So it's quite nice to, sort of have that kind of emotional side of it back. So I can't wait to see fans. I think it's just going to improve the actual product of the football itself as well. So yeah, really, really excited.
So there's this new rule that you mentioned in your article then, regarding 8 homegrown players. Every club needs 8 homegrown players who's played at least 3 years under the age of 21. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of kind of discussion when it first came into place, and they announced that it was going to obviously be in for the start of the season onwards, because obviously we had a lot of these foreign players coming into the league that were obviously, I think, massively improving the standard of the league, and I think that will only help English talent as well, because at the end of the day, if you're training with these players and you're learning off these players, then you're only going to get better, aren't you? So I think that's my opinion on that. I think, you know, this rule has been kind of implemented to try and protect the young players and make sure that they're still getting game time. But like I say, I'll come back to the point of, if they're good enough, then surely, you know, they'll improve even quicker, perhaps, alongside some of these talented foreign players that are coming in. And if they can't compete with them in the first place, then are they really good enough anyway to be competing in the WSL? If you want the WSL to become the best league in the world and to become the product that everyone talks about and wanting it to become, then, you know, I think these young talent, they need to be exposed to that kind of level of play from an early age. So it's an interesting one. I'm probably one of the few that maybe is a little bit against it. I think the majority are probably more for it, but I'm not a massive fan of it personally.
What I will say, Emma, you've got support in us fans here. I think Man United fans, I don't think, listen, obviously we want to see our devs. When I say devs, I mean under 21s. I want to see people like Tara, Bourne, Kerry Jones giving chances, but I think you saw that they were giving chances anyway. And if it's going to affect, say, an Onabache coming in, Ivana Fuso coming in, who knows? There's other quality talent. I know that we've got Mia on Friday, and she's going to be talking about Swedish talent and Norway talent, and you know, it's a mix. It's like what you said. It's going to hamper them, I think, because for me, the way I see it, with the players going with championship teams going full time, if say our players don't make it, then that's where they can go. You know, like say an 18-year-old who maybe don't make it. You know, we've seen a few under 21 players let go. Well, they don't have to go and just be full time in the WSL. You know, 12 teams now. There's a load more teams below that, and hell, it might even improve them. You know, we've seen Maz in the championship. Maria Edwards did well. Young Player of the Year for Blackburn. Lauren James, obviously that's where she started, championship. There's no shame in it. And I think, I don't know what it is, why there's this sort of, because it's not happening in the men's side, so I don't understand why we just sort of are doing it to the women. I think it's wrong, to be honest. For me, what makes the Premier League so exciting is that mix of talent. And like you say, if you're good enough, you'll make it anyway. Foden's making it, Greenwood's making it, so why? And he's making it, playing next to Cavani. Foden's making it, playing with Aguero, but you're sort of blocking those paths, I think. And then what about, like, I know Jamaica are in the top 50 now, but, you know, what about talent from there? We had Simon on talking about Bunny Shaw. You're going to miss out on players like that. African players are coming up as well. You're going to miss out on all these players for what? And for me, I think it's narrow-minded, short-sighted. It's a stupid rule. Hopefully it'll get exposed as that and we won't lose out too much. But, you know, we have to deal with it now.
What I will add to that as well is another concern of mine, and I've heard, I was going to talk about this a little bit later in the show, but I have heard a couple of kind of talks about some clubs potentially looking to buy English players pretty much just to kind of fill their quota. It's a bit, for me, that feels a bit like a bit of a tick box exercise and not actually bringing those players in to improve the squad necessarily. You know, there might be, but you know, some of the names I've heard, I've been, you know, I've kind of looked at the squad and gone, I don't see how much better they are than perhaps what they've already got. So to me,
we all know who you're talking about. We all know.
It strikes me as a filling the player quota. So that's a concern of mine. If they're just going to bring, you know, young players in just to literally to tick a box and then to just leave them on the bench or not even in the squad, then it defeats the whole point of it in the first place.
We all know who you're talking about. I mean, I mean, this is it's like, well, we had Simon on, didn't we? And we said, LJ, is it the right time for her? For me, I think she's 19. No, she's not 19. She's 19, yeah. And I think she needs a couple more years. Like a Ronaldo, he had a couple more years to develop. I think if Lauren had 2 more years at United, then she could go to anywhere. She could go to Lyon or this or that. She could be at the top of her powers. But I wonder if that's a bit why Chelsea are buying Lauren. I don't know. People are saying to me, you know, Beth England is going to stay there maybe. I know your article does mention Beth, and that is a player that I suppose a lot of us would like. But I know she's been turned down a loan, but it's looking like a loan. What's your thoughts, Emma, on, say, a Beth England moving? Or do you think they'll keep her to, like you say, tick a box?
Personally, I think Chelsea wants to keep her. I think the talk was the fact that I think perhaps other clubs were trying to persuade Chelsea to let her go out on loan because she's obviously, you know, preparing for home Euros next year. She'll be wanting to be in that England squad, and she'll obviously want to fight for her place. So similar to kind of what Jill Scott did this season, where she took the risk, took the gamble, went on loan to Everton, got the game time, and that has essentially, you know, enabled her to get called up to the Team GB squad. So that's what Beth England surely will be wanting to do. So, you know, I think other managers have perhaps looked at her situation and gone, we might be able to persuade her to put a little bit of pressure on Chelsea to let her go on loan just to get that game time. But I think Emma Hayes has been pretty open that she's been building a squad that can compete on several fronts, which, you know, we saw Chelsea do this season. So she won't be wanting to let Beth England go unless it's for good reason. So I think that pressure would have to come from Beth England herself. And as far as I know, there isn't any. I think she's happy at Chelsea. Like I say, I think that talk has come from, you know, perhaps other managers and other clubs looking at her as an option to do that.
We've heard that from somebody else, another team has been in for. Obviously, won't mention it there. But have you kind of heard, Emma, that other clubs might be interested in taking her as well?
In Beth England?
Yeah.
So I know there was at least 2 clubs who inquired about taking her on loan.
We only know one.
in the second half of the WSL. So I don't think either of those clubs would have been suitable for her. So it
would have been the best option, I think.
But that's second half of the WSL, but she's not playing, and that's what I don't understand about. Sort of, I understand why she's happy, but you know, like you said, home Euro, she didn't get in the thing. Yes, she might get in the squad, but for me, I think, well, she's developed, I think, but I think for LJ, definitely, I worry for her. I know Vix has just put it. I worry for her too. I've heard Maya Tissier to Chelsea, maybe. I'm not sure what you think, Emma. I know that's not a name that you put in your article, but you know, that might be another tick box, you know. But she wants game time. She's asking for game time, and that's what I've got respect for.
Yeah, I've not heard anything about her on the move, but I wouldn't be overly surprised to see her move because I think she's got bags of talent. I think she's a really good player, really exciting. I know Hope Powell rates her highly though, so I'd be very surprised if Brighton let her go, unless it was for a loan move. But yeah, I'm sure she will be having conversations with clubs perhaps higher above than Brighton. That's no disrespect to Brighton, because I think they had a brilliant season, and I think Hope Powell's done a brilliant job there. But I do think that she ticks a lot of boxes. Obviously, she's English, she's young, but she's also talented. She's quite versatile as well. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's a lot of clubs that have got interest in her. But like I say, as far as I'm aware, I've not heard of any clubs in particular that she's heading to. But as far as I know, she's staying at Brighton.
We'll stick with your article first with some of the names that you've mentioned, and I'm sure me and Nat will throw another couple at you towards maybe the end of the show, just names that have been floating around. First one that we want to get into, and I'm sure people have mentioned it already, and it's on our thumbnail, Mannion from City to United. Reminds me of Abby McManus again, United. Where did you get that information from? Don't need to give you sort of away, but what makes you think that's like? Because it's something that I never heard of. That was brand new news to me when you released that article. So obviously I got a little bit excited because it was fresh news and it looked quite convincing to that point. But what made you kind of say that?
It's actually something that's been around for a while. It's a rumor that has been around for a while. It was around in January. I think it's probably come from when Casey Stoney was in charge. She obviously, has good links with a lot of the English camps, especially, Man City. She will know a lot of the players there. Mannion is highly rated by those who've worked with her, both at Birmingham and Man City. Personally, I've seen some stuff from you guys on Twitter over the last week. I think she's a good player. I don't think we've seen the best of her yet. I think she was just starting to get to her best as well when she suffered the knee injury. So I do think that she's got a bright future ahead of her. It's interesting that you mentioned Abby McManus then, because I think it looks like she's going to be on the move. So that's probably a reason why United are looking at defensive options. I know that they wanted to sell Abby McManus in January actually, and obviously she ended up going on loan. But that was, I think that's sort of an area that they're going to have to replace. Obviously, we know that Amy Turner's contract comes to an end in the summer. We still don't know what her future is going to be like. So there's definitely some signings I think that need to be made in defence. And I actually think Mannion would be a good signing. But personally, I don't think she'll be on her way to United. I think she'll be keen to stay at City. I think she'll want to fight her way back into that team. I think she'll quite like having that challenge and that competition. But there might become a point where, in order for her to get game time, then United could be a very good option for her, even if it's just a loan move. So I think that's why that talk has come up again, because even though Casey's gone, like I say, she's sort of been somewhat the rumour has been that she's been on the radar for United for a while now. That's nothing new. But there's never been anything concrete in it, hence why, nothing's ever really come about it. Obviously, that piece I wrote on Monday, it is about the talk, it is about the rumours, it's not about done deals, although there were one or two that perhaps will become done deals that I put in there. But I've worded it, differently. So that one is purely a rumour. But like I say, personally, I don't think she'll be leaving City. But it's an interesting one to watch for sure, because like I say, it ticks a lot of boxes for United.
With me and with what you said about our fans, I think it's not a case of we don't rate her or we don't think she's good or we don't. And I'm seeing all the comments come in now. We've had Abby McManus come in. We've had Jane Ross come in. And it's City players that City don't want. and they've not really hit the ground running. So I can see why people are annoyed by that, because they're thinking, well, City don't want money in anymore, so let's just offload her to Man United. So it's like we're getting the players, not City's best players, but like the sort of ones that can't make the team. And I just think maybe when Abby McManus came in, we were at that point where, yeah, we did want peak players. For us, when Abby McManus came in, I wanted Mannion, and I thought she should have come to United. And I know me and Craig, if you're still watching, we had that debate on Twitter just before, and it's like, well, obviously United were up and coming, but she would have got game time regular. And I know she was sort of playing in and out, but she was more on the right back. She would have come in and been our first choice centre back for me, just like Abby was. So people are a bit frustrated, I think, because we're seeing these British players come in, like you say, and they're not as good as, say, Honor's come in and just smashed it. Jackie's come in and smashed it. The British players that are good for us are the ones that we've seen develop. And I don't think she is better than Turner and Turner. I think Millie's gone not up to the standard. Millie's not, maybe she's missed fans, but for me, I think Mannion, Amy Turner, Millie Turner, it's all the same bracket. And I spoke to an Arsenal fan, and he sort of said, it's a good signing, yeah, but it's just uninspiring. You're not excited by it. Honor Battle's got a friend called Leah Alexandra. She plays for Atletico Madrid. And I know we've got this Brexit rule, but she's a quality player. She plays for Spain. Spanish national team are up there fighting. I mean, if you're going to say to me, Emma, Leah Williamson, let's go. I'm ready. Sign the contract. Lioness SC. But I don't want to get just these English players that are on the fringes and they're so. I'd rather see Poppy Lawson from the Devs come up, 17-year-old girl, Man United through and through, been there since 5 years old. I'd rather see that than see Mannion, Bag. It doesn't. That's why you saw that reaction.
What I will say is that when it comes to defenders, I think a lot of managers, especially in the WSL in the past, have probably gone for the safe options. So people that they know they can rely on, people that are consistent performers. You see that less often with players in attack, because you can take a risk a little bit with creative players. But I think Mannion is a player who, you know what you're getting with her. She's a good player. She's consistent. She's still fairly young. I actually think she was playing at right back predominantly, but she was pretty, heavily featured in that City squad before she got the injury. Like I say, she is highly rated at City, and she was when she was at Birmingham. So I think that's where a lot of this talk will come from, is that she, like I say, she ticks a lot of boxes, but also you know what you're getting. And I think there's a bit of a hesitancy perhaps in WSL until fairly recently to really look abroad at very different players, because it's not something that they're used to. So I think, like I say, this talk kind of came about first in January, maybe even before that. And, you've got a young manager in Casey Stoney, who's not been in management for long. She's not really been outside of England in terms of, her coaching. So to go for somebody like Mannion, if she was on Casey's list, which is obviously what the suggestion is, then that makes a lot of sense, because she knows what she's getting. So that's the only thing I would say. But like I say, I personally don't think City want to lose her. So I think they're well aware that Steph Horton isn't going to be around forever, and I think they see Mannion as a long-term replacement for her. So like I said, it'd be really interesting to see what does happen there.
But it's like what I just said, ambition. Leah Williamson, out of contract as well. That's ambition. I'm not saying, I know we had Susie on last week and she says Leah won't go. I understand it, but for me, I think you should be putting some effort in. And I know it's not Aoife's fault that she has this injury, but she had an injury, then she had another injury. And I'm thinking, you're at the City's training complex. That's sort of high tech. If you come and train with us, you got 10 minutes to the shower, you're in a gym in a tent. you ain't gonna be fit. And I just think with the injuries that we've had, it just, for me, I think it would be silly. But she's the bet. Out of all the names that I've seen recently, if we had to take any player from England and all the names, and I know we're going to talk about them, it would be her.
I think that the problem is, especially in terms of Leah, is that a player of that quality needs to be playing Champions League football. And this is what I said, I think, the last time I came on the show, was that not qualifying for the Champions League will absolutely have an impact on Man United's transfer targets, because, I get your reservations, but when you look, so if you stay within the WSL, I look across the league and I don't see many other many better options really than Man United in terms of realistic ones that you're going to get from the WSL that are perhaps more available.
Should tell you what though, I'm fed up with WSL players as well. I think a lot of them are just, I just think, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. And I think there should be more adventure. I think you should be scouting out wider. I think you should be scouting in Germany. Germany have some brilliant centre-backs. Spain have some brilliant centre-backs. And I know someone said to me, well, you can't have a team full of this and that. Well, why can't you? And, Magda Eriksson came from Sweden, Norway. I just think I'm fed up of WSL. And that's what I think a lot of Man United fans are fed up, because you know what? We've seen Jackie, we've seen Honor, we've seen the other side, and we want that.
Yeah.
Can I throw another name in there then that's been going around Twitter? Not English, Australian, Alana Kennedy. So that name's been going around, out of contract. Have you heard anything about that one at all?
I've not heard anything on where she's going. I've not heard any talk about Man United linked with her. That's not to say she hasn't. I think if you were Alana Kennedy, I'd be listening to any offers from Manchester United, because, she enjoyed her time in England. She was playing well. So I think it would make a lot of sense for her to sign for a WSL club. I think she's shown her qualities. I think there'll be a lot of clubs that would be interested in her, and I think that's why there's talk about her. But like I say, I've not heard anything on where she's going. But I'd be surprised if Man United hadn't even inquired about her. Okay.
So Mannion, 1 to 10, a scale of 1 to 10, likeliness of coming to United. What are your thoughts, Emma?
4.
Okay. That's about right. Yeah, that's about right. We'll move on to your next player then that you mentioned. So Natalie kind of dropped it out. If anyone heard it, Bagley. So we've kind of said on this show that a goalkeeper isn't a priority position. I think at the start, when we was looking like we was going to get Champions League, we thought, yeah, we do need another goalkeeper who can push Mary Earps. So if Mary Earps gets injured, we need someone who can compete in Europe. I think now that we haven't made Europe, it was more of a less priority position just because of the amount of defenders and strikers who are leaving. But all of a sudden, it looks like there's a bit of change there, and we'll move on to Emily Ramsey shortly. But Bagley, so that's kind of come out the blue. What are your thoughts on that one?
Well, actually, that one is my understanding, heavily linked with Emily Ramsey. So I think obviously we saw Rambo get the call up to the England squad, which was great for her personally. She obviously went out on loan, a few months ago, so she wants more game time. She's obviously a bright young keeper. She's got a really good future ahead of her, hopefully. So I think she's, given the fact that she went out on loan, it was quite obvious that, well, obviously they needed cover, but also I think she was quite keen to get some game time. So especially if she's kind of on the fringes of the England squad for the Euros next year. So I think there's been a little bit of talk of perhaps Rambo looking elsewhere to try and get some more game time. There's a couple of clubs lower down the WSL who need goalkeepers, and she would be a good fit. You look at the likes of Birmingham, who are going to be losing Hannah Hampton, most likely. So, that would be a good club for somebody like Rambo.
Craig's in the comments. Craig's a Birmingham fan. What would you think about getting Rambo to your club? Sorry, Emma.
No, yeah, put it in the comments, Craig, definitely. So there's, because she would be leaving, obviously Man United, if Rambo was to leave, would obviously need to bring in a new keeper. So I actually think somebody like Sophie Bagley, who performed well for Bristol City, she kind of would just be a bit of a like-for-like replacement in that sense. So I don't think there's kind of too much thought process around it in terms of, I don't think the club said, look, we need to bring in this keeper and this is somebody who we scouted. I think it's just one of those where an opportunity's come up, where, like I say, if Rambo is looking elsewhere, then they obviously need to, they need another keeper in. So that's the extent of it, really. But I actually think there's probably more in that than the Mannion rumours, for definite.
What I'd touch on with Rambo does need game time. I'd be disappointed to see her go. What I'd say, Craig, she is quality keeper. I'd seen Vicky in there saying, I prefer Hampton. I prefer Hampton as well to Bagley. Not saying that Bagley's bad, but I just think that Hampton, would challenge Mary more. I like Mary. She's good, but is she going to be the keeper that we're going to have in 3 years' time? Whereas I can see a Rambo being that keeper. But the thing is, what I think hampered Rambo was the COVID. I come on here and said it. I said it everywhere. I see it on Twitter. Just before the January, she went on loan to Sheffield, and she would have got loads of minutes. And obviously, she went on loan, got cut short. Then we didn't really have a keeper, so it was Bentley went on loan to Blackburn. All that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know where we're going with keepers. I think it started off, we had some bright keepers that all can come in, English international, and now I don't know. Now it's sort of like becoming a headache. It's gone from great, keeper's not a position, to shit, we've lost top young keeper, got Mary, but, when I'm hearing other things about keepers, and it's just, now I'm like, this is stressing me out, this position. Go out there. For me, I'd get Hampton and just bang, you're number one. Not your number one, but you can beat Mary to number one. Why not?
Not to put a bit of a downer on things, but Hannah Hampton's a very interesting one. I think the talk at the moment is, I'm trying to find out where she's going. I think she could be off. I know. I think she could be off to America, actually, from some talks that I've heard. So that's one to keep an eye on.
Well, we can wait for her when she comes back.
Right in there.
Thank you everybody, by the way. Keep on throwing some names out there. So there was something else in your article about Barcelona. So Man City after one Barcelona player, us after another one. So let's start off on the Man City one, because I'm thinking if we're after a centre midfielder, potentially if this player is available, then is a possibility for us to get instead of City? Probably not, because obviously you think they should want to play in Champions League. But we talk about their captain. I don't know how you pronounce it, but is it something like Lasada or something like that? That's someone that you mentioned in your article. What are your thoughts on that one, the likeliness of coming to the WSL?
Yeah, so that link has obviously come from elsewhere. I can't remember who it was who broke the exclusive at the time, but I think that's come from Europe. So I hadn't heard of that until I'd seen the rumours, but that looks like that's quite likely to happen. So I think you're right. I think a player of that quality would absolutely need Champions League football. So I don't think Manchester United would ever have been in the running for a player of that quality. And then obviously you guys have spoken about her, but Oshuala has obviously been linked with United for a while. Again, that's come from sources elsewhere, not from mine directly. So I couldn't give you any more details on how likely that would be to happen. Personally, I don't think it will happen. But yeah, that's obviously been kind of around for a while now.
Yeah, because... Go on.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, I think any rumour that kind of has been around for a while and that has crossed over several transfer windows, similar to the Mannion one, from my kind of experience, I think a lot of those tend to not happen. So, and that seems to be, it might be that somebody's picked up from the rumour from a January link, and they've only just picked up on it now, and then that sort of lingers over 2 windows. So so I think on that basis, I would say that it's probably unlikely. I would think that she'd be
devastated. Well, I'm not devastated, but she's like one of these where it's like that. And I think we were big, weren't we, John? We were big on the Bunny show rumour. We heard that they'd been scouting, there's this, there's that. Bunny wanted to come to Europe. And then obviously Champions League, bang, screwed it. So for me, Australia is that level below, say, a Bunny and a this top. And, Bunny, Viv, those are the numbers that they're getting. But I think Australia was below that. And I remember I told you, well, let me not say, but I remember you asked, or I think Alex Ibetier asked Casey in a press conference, and she said, if we were going to buy everyone we were linked to. So that sort of killed that one off. But then it's come back up around, and it's Susie, who was on last week, sort of said, there might be something in it. Man United's name might be there, but she does know that other clubs are interested too.
Yeah,
I think
with this agent talk, and I think this is the thing, is that a club of Manchester United, like you say, for a player, specifically Oshuala, who is perhaps under that level of Miedema, etc. It is the perfect club, and I think that's why. Obviously, she's played in England as well. She's enjoyed her time here, so she's got contacts. Obviously, Casey knows her from sort of Liverpool days, so it makes sense for there to be something in it. And I would be surprised if, off the back of the initial rumours, there wasn't any contact made, and there might still be contact made. And like I say, Man United could turn around and announce it tomorrow. I'd be really surprised. But I think with a lot of these kind of players, then obviously I think Man United will be keeping an eye on them, and if they're available, then certainly they'll be keeping an eye on them. But I think there's a difference between sort of following and tracking players and actually outright scouting them as a priority target. And I think that's the key. And I think this is what I kind of got back to in terms of Mannion, is that she's probably a player that they've been following, keeping an eye on. But I think that's very different to sort of pinning her down as an actual target.
Monitoring FC, hey? This is what we're at now. We're at that level. That's what the women's team are at, monitoring. And I've just seen Vix's comment, though, and I know which one you mean, John. This.
So we've got to come on to this anyway.
If, for example, no. If we got Parris, right? I don't really want her, but she's on the level of Oshuala. I hear people, some people say, no, she's above Oshuala, but I think they're both like that. Duggan was someone who I wanted instead of Jane Ross. But now Duggan, I would say, if Parris is there and Oshuala's there, Duggan is like, there. Duggan shouldn't be someone that we're looking at now. Not if we've got aspirations. If we're really truthful and we want to be in the Champions League, Tony Duggan shouldn't be a transfer name. If it's Parris, okay. Not someone I wanted. And that's through, my experience of us. We've signed, Jane Ross is going to do this. This British player is going to do this. I'm bored of British players. I'm not unless they're top scorers, I'm bored. And that's my thing. And then I won't hold it against them. They can come in, they can do well, and then they'll be singing a name. Everyone has a chant when they come in. Everyone has flags when they come in. Everyone has that support initially, but I think we need to get used to sort of saying, listen, no, I don't want that player. No, I don't want that. And it's go to Everton. I'm sure you'll like it there better than I'm sure they want her. So go where you wanted.
One at a time. So you made like a little paragraph on the potential Miedema and Parris swap deal. Where do you think Parris will end up? Because she's got, obviously, it looks like this is on the move somewhere.
Yeah, Man United is an interesting one because I think Parris would be quite excited about the move to Manchester United. I think the way she plays would suit Man United. She's obviously got friends in Manchester. She's lived here before. She knows the area. She knows the city. It makes a lot of sense. But obviously, it was Susie Rack who wrote the news on Arsenal being in talks with Miedema. And I think that could have a big impact on what happens with Parris, because if Miedema does go to Lyon, which it looks likely, then I think Lyon, would be keen to sort of offload someone, and Parris would probably be the one to go. So I think there's a lot in that, and the fact it's come from Susie as well, and she's got some good sources down there. So while I look at Manchester United and I think that makes absolute sense for Nikita Parris, I think there must be something quite strong in those Arsenal talks.
I just want to say, going back to Viv, you're the first person who's come out and said this about it's likely that she'll leave. The agent came out and said she's going to stay for a year. But do you still, obviously, Arsenal, and I saw Anton from Sky sort of say, well, do Arsenal want money? This kind of thing, I'm not saying they'll get money, but, do Arsenal want something back? Parris is getting slaughtered now. So you think that Viv to Lyon could happen this summer then? Definitely? Well, not definitely, but yeah.
I mean, this is purely based on my own opinion, by the way. This isn't based on any insight. I think she could leave this summer. Yeah, I do. I think the contract negotiations have been stalled for a while. Obviously, Joe's now left. Miedema herself has been quite outspoken in the past, just sort of wanting to know what Arsenal's long-term future was. I think she had a good, strong relationship with Joe and probably was willing to listen to any negotiations that he might have put on the table. So I think she might be waiting to see perhaps who the new Arsenal manager is. And then I think she'll want extremely strong assurances on the direction of the club. And I think if she was to move, I think it would probably be towards maybe the end of the window, once she'd seen kind of the activity around Europe and also in Arsenal. And like I say, if Arsenal go out and make a couple of statement signings, then that could change her opinion on the direction of the club. So that is one that I'm massively interested in, put it that way. I think until she signs a contract extension, I think there's always going to be a huge threat of Miedema leaving Arsenal. And I think if she is going to go at some point, then Arsenal will want her to go before her contract expires so they can get some money for her.
Well, on that one, and we will discuss Man United needing strikers in a bit, because we've got to agree that we need at least 3 or 4 strikers or wingers in our team. And people in the comments are disliking some. Our friends away from here don't like specific players. We don't like specific players. So we've got to kind of agree on we need at least 3 or 4 attacking-minded players to come in. So we'll try and do that before the end of the show. But would Miedema, do you think, would that kind of be like a world record fee? Like, do you think, or is she that good? Anyone in the comments kind of help me out on that one, because Miedema to Lyon, that's a big signing, isn't it?
I'd be surprised if she was to leave this summer and didn't go for a record fee. Because I've spoken about how much I rate Miedema publicly plenty of times. I think she is one of the world's best players. I think she's a phenomenal goal scorer. She's shown that, she's proven it. I think she would be an incredible signing for any team in the world. So if she was to leave and someone had to pay money for her, then I would be expecting a record fee. Yeah, definitely.
Just before we move on to another name that's been mentioned in the comments, we did mention Tony Duggan. We never really actually kind of got your thoughts, Emma, on the likeliness of where she will end up. Obviously, Everton's been linked. Can you see anywhere? Can you see like a reason why Man United would be in for her?
I think personally, I think if she was to come back to WSL, she'd be going to Everton. she was heavily linked with them in January. I made a couple of calls in January, and that was when I was first told to expect her to return to WSL in the summer, which was quite interesting, because I felt like off the back of those conversations, then she must already be speaking to a certain club, if not a couple of clubs. So I think wherever she goes is somewhere that she's obviously had discussions with for a while. And the fact that Man United, they've always kind of been mentioned a little bit in the background, but it's always quite prominently been Everton, I think suggests to me that that's where she's off to. She was asking for a lot of money, I know, before, not necessarily her personally, but I think her camp. So the kind of talk that I've heard is that she's been too expensive for people in the past. And that's perhaps why she, hasn't come to Manchester United or Everton earlier. But I think she's ready. I think she's ready to come home. And obviously she's a Scouser, so Everton makes a lot of sense. Man United, I think, is an interesting one, and I think she'll have to look at that option because for her, I think Manchester United would be a good move. I don't think it's a good move for Manchester United, personally.
We've moved. The ship sailed. Yeah, you had your chance. I know. I spoke with Tony out in France, and I said to her, come. And that's when I heard what Emma said, too expensive. The ship sailed now. We've passed you. Yeah, like ships in the night. Boom. We're going to the top, hopefully. But I know you're going to talk about this one now, John. It's the one that I can see actually happening, and I'll tell Emma why in a bit.
No, well, we've heard it from other journalists, haven't we? It's been going around, and we know that she's a fan of the club. And I take it.
Yeah.
It's a position that we need. She can play out wide. She might want to play up front. We need those positions. It looks like the press is going to go. Heath's going to go. Jess Sigsworth could potentially go. Jane Ross. That's 4 players there who are attacking minded. We need someone to come in. English as well.
Ticks the box. Tick.
There is ticking a lot of boxes. I know there's a few fans who think that we need a higher level, and maybe we do, but we still need some players to come in. So, Emma, Beth Mead, what are your thoughts on that one?
No.
Emma, don't kill it. That is actually the one that I would take. 9. I think she's good.
That's purely. I've not heard anything on that. But I do know that obviously a couple of other journalists have spoken about it, and that is obviously a rumor. She wants game time. She needs, she needs game time for the Euros. So perhaps she is looking for a move, but I don't think Arsenal can afford to lose her, and especially not while they haven't nailed down Miedema. So that's why I say no. But obviously the situation could change if Miedema ends up staying. Then I think it might be a different conversation. But straight away, my personal opinion is no on that. Yeah,
I'm seeing my mate John in there. John tells me played at Sunderland, number 9. And to be fair, I do really like her. I remember we went down to it's not even Kings Meadow where they played, Meadow Park, and she was a standout player on the right. And I think she can play right. I don't know if she can play left. She can play down the middle. I think she'll bag goals. I think it makes perfect sense. It makes more sense to me than the Parris. I know we've not said about when we said Duggan, no, but it does make more sense to me than the Parris. Like I said, she loves the club. I saw Namrata talking about people, and that's what I do think. There's not enough people who know Mido is a red. She's another one I went out in World Cup saying join United, and I've heard rumours. Now I don't know if this is true, and Emma wants to comment back on them, but she wants to go back up north. She's a northern girl. Obviously we've heard Daniel van der Donk is off, so she's not getting game time. North, your hometown, your childhood club. For me, it makes sense. Wear that number 9 again, down the middle. That makes sense.
Yeah,
but it's about United putting the money on.
Yeah, but I mean, all those reasons that you've mentioned are perhaps the reasons why the rumours have come about. And while there are clubs with no managers, there's always talk about players being on the move because players don't know you know, what their immediate futures look like. This happens a lot in women's football because the contracts are so short. So while Arsenal have no manager, it makes a lot of sense for these players to be linked with other clubs. And it would make a lot of sense for them to have kind of discussions with other clubs and thoughts about their futures. So she could well be looking at other options. But like I say, for me, it's one where I think Arsenal could lose a couple of players. They already have obviously lost one or two. So I don't think for me, Beth Mead would be top of my list of players who would be leaving Arsenal.
The problem is there's loads of names that we've heard that's going to be leaving, and not many names about players who are coming in. And I get that we've still got 12 weeks to go. The transfer window hasn't even opened yet at all. And a lot could happen. Maybe a lot already has happened. Paul Reese's name is in the comments. But it's going to take a lot more than Paul Reese, isn't it? So, and also, it's got to be at a level. So if there's fans kicking off saying Nikita Parris isn't good enough, or Beth Mead isn't good enough, or Tony Duggan, we've now got to either settle with those kind of calibre players or hope that something's going to happen down the line at a higher level. And I think it's going to be at a higher level. Would we've kind of heard about it already? Go on, Emma, sorry.
I think until a new manager comes in, and this is kind of what I was saying to sort of Liverpool fans, it's kind of the same with Birmingham fans. Until a new manager comes in, it's very, very difficult to recruit players. So, you know, you can have a list, you can have discussions, you can have targets, but not many, if any, are going to sign on the dotted line until the new manager comes in. So I think that's why they're naturally, like you say, the window, it doesn't actually open until tomorrow. So naturally, there's going to be all the talk of the departures because they're always announced before. This happens every year. And then I think when managers are settled, when the departed players have gone and then probably lined up moves elsewhere, that's when I think you'll start hearing about more targets and players coming in, and hopefully you know, some players from Europe as well, which I think, while I don't envisage seeing the same level of, you know, movement from the United States as what we had last summer, I think we will get still some European imports. So so I know a lot of people have said, oh, it's all very negative, but look, like I said, the transfer window hasn't even opened yet, guys. So there definitely will be more talk and more targets coming out when the manager's in. So
yeah, let me just jump on that very quickly. So like that word negative, it's only because we're so excited to like hear names, and that's all it is. And obviously Emma's keeping it real, she's been really honest with us, so it's not like it's negative, it's just that like we're worried that like we're hearing 6 to 8 names that's potentially going. Rambo as well now that we wasn't expecting, because I was thinking Bentley, so that's like maybe even more players going, and we haven't really heard anyone really apart from Bolvisa that's even likely to come in. So I think that's what it is. We just kind of like building up our hopes. Oh yeah, Beth Mead might be available, or so might be available, but there's still nothing concrete. But yeah, go on, Nat.
And I think for me as well, John, and I know Emma might have something good lined up, a little name, but listen, it's Vic's comments there that needs to be an inspired signing. I think we've had it sort of every year. We had the Jackie one when we just come into the WSL, and you know, people were talking about us finishing 10th or whatever, and then Jackie Groner, World Cup finalist, comes in. Then you had obviously Heath and Press, and let's not beat around the bush, they were on big money. So it's not like the money's not there. We just need something, you know, like we're talking about Mannion. She's a good player, yeah, but it's not, you know, it's not setting the world alight. And we need definitely a player, a big. And I think, to be fair, Oshala would bring that hype. I know you're saying no, she might not like live up to it on the pitch, but I just think we need someone who is going to be like, bang, right, that's our player. Even Russo came in, bang, that's our player. And I know people are like, oh, Russo's going to, yeah, she probably will, but then she's injured a lot. So I don't want to just sit there and go, oh, but Russo's going to be like a new signing. I want a new signing as well as Russo. And we need a spark. We need someone who's going to do something. We need, you know, there's so many players. Hayley Brajega from Italy, 17 years old. 18 games, 12 goals. If we're losing LJ, Lauren James, one of the Freegan, Namrata said it. I mean, Naveen, this is what we need. We need some young, exciting talent. You know, we're looking at Eva Navarro, but she's signed a new deal. She has got an ACL. I don't think she's going to be at Levante next year. But if we're not in Champions League next year, she won't be coming to us either. So for me, I think it's, you know, I think people are frustrated with KC signings, just the same sort of British, but there were exciting ones and there were ones she got right. And we're now worried whether we can still get those exciting ones. And I know you touched on wait till the manager comes in. Jessie Fleming, that's who I'd break the door down for her. Go out and get someone like that.
I think it's natural though. For when I mentioned before about the departures and the players leaving, it's natural for a lot of clubs to first look at what's available. So a name that I actually put in the article, but I didn't link with United because that's kind of moved on.
You know how we react.
Is actually Tash Flint from Leicester. I know that she was definitely in talks with other clubs, and I think Man United was among them. I think the likes of Villa elsewhere as well. So, but yeah, it looks like she'll be staying at Leicester. But I think, like I said, I think that's natural. I think it's natural though for clubs to look at players that have become available first.
We've gone from Tobin Heath to Tasha Flint. Come on. They said to us, we've still got aspirations. You're not going to finish Champions League if you're signing Natasha Flint. No, she's a great. She's done great for Leicester. God bless her. But how can you go from Tobin Heath? This is why people are mad. Because you can't go from Tobin Heath to Natasha Flint. Kristen Preston have a great season, but I'd still rather have that Kristen Preston we had than Natasha Flint. Not in a hurry. And I feel so horrible on her. She's a great girl. I love all the Leicester girls, but we're not serious then. If we're looking at these players, why are you even monitoring? They shouldn't even be in your radar. I just don't understand it. Yeah,
but this is what I was saying before. It's not necessarily them being on the radar. It's just if a player like that becomes available and they want to have discussions, then I think Man United would naturally listen. That doesn't mean to say that, you know, she's one of the targets or she's on the priority list or anything like that. I think that does need a cup of tea. Something a little bit stronger. Go and get yourself a bottle of rum.
This is why we want a foreign manager. Because for me, I'm fed up with these Brexit type players. I'm fed up with these English average Natasha Flint, Jane Ross. I'm fed up. Right? I want a Spanish or a German or a French, you know, PSG managers that's come out. I want someone like that who knows them leagues then. And see, like you said, they're not prepared to take risks. But a manager who's from there would already know them players, so that it's not a risk. A risk for them would be the British players.
Yeah, I can't comment on that, but yeah.
You don't want to spill a name for us out here?
In terms of what managers? So a name which I've said is absolutely not linked with the job. I'm making this very clear. This is a name that someone suggested to me that they would quite like to see at Man United, and I thought it was quite interesting. And that was Sylvia Need, I think is how you pronounce it. She was a former Germany manager. Don't know too much about kind of what she's doing these days, but I thought that was quite an interesting shout. I'd not heard that shout before. So, that's maybe one for you guys to stick your teeth into. But, like I say, I just, absolutely, that's not come from a source saying that she's linked or anything with the job. That's just a name that somebody said they'd be interested to see. So that's obviously come up in someone's head somewhere. But I think it's quite interesting tonight that the PSG job has now become available. The Arsenal job is obviously available. Birmingham job is available, although I'm expecting that announcement to come this week. That's one for you in there, Craig. I think there's going to be a couple of interesting weeks.
It's been a cracking show. I really enjoyed this one. We always do is transfer talk, but it's always good just to get different opinions and kind of get Emma's thoughts on it as well from a different perspective. We are going to end the show there. It's been an hour, bang on. Emma, if anyone wants to find you on Twitter or anywhere else, how can they go about doing that?
It's EM_Sandy with a Y on Twitter, and then obviously you can read my work on the BBC Sport website. So thanks again, everyone, for all your support, and thanks for watching.
There's always loads of people watching when you're on, Emma. There really is. Natalie, if anybody wants to find you or any help becoming a Barmy Army member, where can people find your Twitter and the Barmy Army's Twitter?
Yeah, don't judge the whole Barmy Army just on me. That's what I always say. I'm a very passionate person. I say what I say. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I say it out loud. The Barmy Army is just about us all being together and getting things sorted. Like we said at the start of the show, season tickets are now sorted through work that we've done. So definitely become a Barmy Army member. Barmy Army MUFC. Drop a DM and let them know, and then you get a form and you'll fill it out, and it's done. Free membership as well. There is a plus membership, but definitely just can't stress it enough. If we want to get things moving, we don't want these British Brexit transfers, but that's another story. But listen, strength in numbers, become a member.
Awesome. Plan for the rest of the week. So we haven't got the Friday fan forum this week because we've managed to get Mia Eriksson on, so that'll be another fantastic show there. Saturday, as always, is a better match show live, and then that'll roll us into next week where we've got 4 or 5 live shows planned next week as well. So thank you again, Emma. Thank you to everybody in the comments. Please hit the thumbs up as you leave. Share it to your friends, and we shall see you again very soon. Thank you, guys.